You could have all the testosterone in the world. This is what the studies show. They show that DHT is far superior at restoring erectile quality, even in castration models, even when testosterone is normalized, which assumes that the testosterone is still converting to DHT, but it's just not enough. You need the DHT itself. Why DHT, not just testosterone, powers hard erections? We're really going to talk about the nitric oxide synthase connection. What you want, the bottom line is this: DHT is more powerful than any other androgen for erections, more powerful than testosterone, more powerful than any DHT derivative. Frankly, it's a little more powerful than Cialis. There are two things that DHT enables and that you want in order to have really, really great erections when you're on HRT. They are neural nitric oxide synthase, so the brain version of the precursor to nitric oxide, but then otherwise nitric oxide synthase activity in the penis. You know, like people think of blood flow as arginine converting into nitric oxide. But in order to do that, you need the eNOS and you need the nNOS, the neural nitric oxide synthase. That's what DHT works on specifically. DHT is the powerhouse for male erections. Period. And testosterone itself is not enough. Even when testosterone is normalized, the castration studies actually show us super clearly. And in the castration studies, they show that DHT, even in the presence of normalized testosterone levels, restore the erectile response far better than testosterone. So we're going to talk about this in the context of one of our favorite compounds, which is mesterolone or Proviron. We're also going to talk about it in the context of DHT itself. There's a lot of DHT haters out there that explain that it exclusively increases the size of your prostate and makes you lose your hair. Now, without it, you don't have those negatives and you can still have erections. This is not true. I am and will always be pro DHT. If you need it a little more convincing to be pro DHT and to target it in your HRT protocol, listen up. All right, first out the video, Low Cortex Labs is a TRT guided sexual dysfunction resolution and performance optimization company. I got crazy discounts for you right now on product. Number one, this is the biggest discount we've ever run on anything. Let's take the one-on-one hands-on coaching for 90 days. This is 3 straight months with me. If you add that to your cart and check out, you enter the coupon code Coach Discount, and hit apply. Watch what happens. $2,499 are removed. That's 50%. Whether it's the 1 month, the 3 month, the 6 month, or the 1 year, it's all 50% off with the code Coach Discount. That lasts until August 10th. If you've been thinking about booking coaching, now is obviously the time. I'd love to have you on board. Use the coupon code. Source List is 30% off. Code is Source30. It's on the screen. Go get it. These discount codes for extremely cheaper, these are real discounts, significant money savings. They're in the description. Go get some product and hire me. Let's take this thread as an example just to kind of kick it off. Is there any benefit of DHT in men after puberty? This is the common question that gets asked where people essentially assume that DHT is not useful after puberty. People actually believe that, and it's total nonsense. I was considering taking DHT blockers to stop hair loss, and from what I can gather, DHT is only important or useful when you're going through puberty. I'm almost 30. I'm wondering, does DHT do anything good for the body, or is it just a hair killer? Brother, this is a person who is misinformed, who if he goes and takes DHT blockers like 5-alpha reductase inhibitors like finasteride or otherwise, his life's going to change negatively for the long term. Luckily, there are some good answers in the comments. This guy goes, DHT is what makes you feel like a man. This is a well-known effect of DHT derivatives like Primo, Masteron, and Proviron. I can tell you that I have not ever felt as strong and masculine and as grounded and as centered like a male should be than when I had enough DHT in my protocol via using cream or something else, or when I was using Proviron, Masteron, Primobolan, even Anavar. But here's the really important one. DHT makes muscles big. Well, I would say it makes them a little more sculpted via less subcutaneous water. Body hair thick, which it totally does, by the way, and dong happy. I wouldn't have said it like that, but that guy has the right idea. And here's probably the most important one. If you like having erections, I'd avoid DHT blockers. This guy knows. I have countless clients coaching, doing HRT coaching, fixing sexual dysfunction, where DHT was the critical missing piece and the most relevant piece in their recovery. They had been starved of DHT for a long time, and importantly, some of them weren't actually, but they just weren't converting enough from injections, and they needed a little more DHT on top of it, and all the problems were solved. I'm talking about not having spontaneous erections, just erections that kind of come out of nowhere, and it not being easy to achieve erections for years, 2 to 5 years or more, and then suddenly with the right amount of DHT, all of that comes back pretty quickly. So let's talk about the core science of how DHT is the erection powerhouse. All right, look, DHT is far, far, far more potent than testosterone at upregulating the two major things that you need for erections to be healthy. And that's neural nitric oxide synthase, so the building block to nitric oxide, which is a brain originated, but also increases vasodilation and improves blood flow everywhere. And then nitric oxide synthase activity, again, the precursor to nitric oxide itself, the enzyme that produces it in the penis. You need that nitric oxide synthase activity there more than anywhere. And DHT is far more potent than testosterone. It is the number one most important hormone and most powerful hormone at producing nitric oxide synthase in the penis. Okay, so eNOS and NNOS. eNOS is endothelial nitric oxide synthase. This is the nitric oxide producing chemical that is found in the lining of the blood vessels of the penis. And then, of course, otherwise neural nitric oxide synthase convert L-arginine, which is just an amino acid that you could take orally in a supplement or that you get in your diet. They convert arginine into nitric oxide, which activates guanylate cyclase and raises CGMP. That causes smooth muscle relaxation, which causes an erection. It's been proven time and time again in the literature that without androgens, and specifically DHT, nitric oxide synthase, gene expression, okay? The gene expression, this will give some hint into some of the PFS people that are thinking some gene problems are afoot. Without androgens, the nitric oxide synthase gene expression fails easier. And then, I mean, forget it. You're not getting an erection. Let's talk about why testosterone may not be enough. You can inject 250 milligrams of testosterone cypionate per week. But if DHT remains lower than it needs to be for you, or you're not getting enough of a hit of it at the right time, or it's not able to actually travel down to the sex organs where it needs to be, which is due to poor conversion to DHT in tissues and otherwise, which would indicate some sort of mild 5-alpha reductase enzyme impairment, which is, I think, more common than people think, then neural nitric oxide synthase and otherwise endothelial nitric oxide synthase stay depressed. Gene expression stays depressed. You could have all the testosterone in the world. This is what the studies show. They show that DHT is far superior at restoring erectile quality, even in castration models, even when testosterone is normalized, which assumes that the testosterone is still converting to DHT, but it's just not enough. You need the DHT itself. Down to the penis level, DHT binds more tightly and for far longer to androgen receptors than it transcriptionally upregulates neural nitric oxide synthase mRNA and nitric oxide synthase enzyme activity in corpora cavernosa tissues. This is the main spongy element facilitative of erections, necessary for erections that you have in the male organ. DHT-treated rats show a lot higher neural nitric oxide synthase gene expression and better arterial inflow and pressure, like blood pressure in the penis, versus like just testosterone when finasteride is used. Okay, so I mean, there's two options. If you're there's a couple options if you're trying to add DHT to your regimen, because you even if estrogen is in range, your erections are just not good on TRT. This is a problem, and you don't want to be in that state, and it's very fixable. I see it over and over again in coaching. Go to this thread. Let's talk about Misterolone first, or Proviron. Proviron fixes my libido issues on TRT. Okay, think about that statement for a second. Guy's on HRT, dude. He's injecting fucking testosterone into his body. Has libido and erection issues on TRT. What the hell is that about? He goes, I've been on TRT since June of 2023. Okay, this is a year ago. So he's been on TRT for 2 years and it has largely improved most of my issues. However, libido is still a bit of a mixed bag. Based on a recommendation from some folk on the various testosterone subreddits, or tried a low dose of Proviron. He did 25 milligrams a day. He split that into 12.5 in the morning and 12.5 in the evening, which is a pretty fucking awesome starting dose of Proviron. In fact, it's what I would suggest. And it largely fixes both the morning erections and the libido issues. Testing both with and without it, meaning a test to TRT with Proviron and then TRT without Proviron, it's pretty cut and dry that the impact that it has. And this guy is only on 140 milligrams a week. But why does this happen? Actually, Proviron is not that strong at inhibiting aromatase, right? It's the weakest of the DHT derivatives when it comes to reducing estradiol. It might reduce at 5 points or so, but it's going to be negligible. You got to go up to 50 to 75 milligram doses, which can be overstimulating, can cause side effects for people in order to get a significant estrogen lowering effect. So the effect here isn't exclusively due to the lowering of estradiol. It's because Proviron is a methylated version of DHT itself. Now, it's not as potent. It doesn't stay active at the receptor as long as DHT, but it's pretty goddamn close. So you're getting, with Proviron, this guy is getting the upregulated endothelial nitric oxide synthase, neural nitric oxide synthase, and corpus cavernosal, the penile tissue nitric oxide synthase. And therefore, the conversion from arginine into nitric oxide can flow in not only an optimal way, but not in an inhibited way. And then you have erections. They work like they're supposed to. So, that's just one recommendation. This is why I talk about Proviron and have for years and how powerful it is. Sometimes it just saves your protocol. Because as I've been saying, some people just need a little more DHT. The protocol itself on TRT with HCG is totally fine. You're fine. You just need a little more DHT. And so Proviron in these cases is causing the extra DHT, positively affecting all the nitric oxide, especially in the male organ, in the tissue itself, and erections are restored. Let's talk about DHT itself. Look, I have tried the high potency DHT gel, which, by the way, you guys can find in source list right here on top of the screen. It's down in the description of this video. I have used this in various different TRT protocols, including protocols above 200 milligrams a week, where I was getting enough DHT, or you would think that I was getting a lot of it, but there was so much estradiol coming from it that, just that alone without taking an AI or managing estrogen, I couldn't dial in erections. But being on 300, when I was on 300 a week, which was me cycling down from my cycle of 560 milligrams of testosterone enanthate per week, I was running, I think, 0.25 milliliters of a topical, oil-based DHT that is 20% concentration on the shaft every other day. And then I didn't need to take an AI, right? It blocked some of the estrogen gene expression, but it gave me usable DHT that I was a walking boner. It's a protocol I could have stayed at. I just didn't want to stay at 300 milligrams a week. A DHT itself, it's so powerful at blocking estrogen and blocking some of that gene expression for the production of aromatase enzymes that you want to be really careful with it and not dose it very high. You want to try, if you get the 20% stuff that comes in a liquid dropper, to get somewhere around the equivalent of 5 to 10 milligrams either every day or every other day. You could do that transcrotally or on the shaft. There, as long as estrogen isn't super, super, super above your range, the erection problem that you might be having will go away. Because again, you get the tissue level building blocks to proper blood flow and nitric oxide. Now let's talk about test cream. As I said, I put a quarter of a pump. So these pumps that come in, it's like 4 or 5 little kind of noodly looking things of test cream come out of the click container, and you usually rub the whole thing on the testicles. You might rub 3 pumps, 4 pumps, depends on the concentration and what your dose might be. But I take 2 or 1.5 of those little kind of noodle looking things of cream and just rub them on the testicles on top of my 105 milligrams a week of injectable testosterone. And it's not enough to crush estrogen, therefore nuking my libido. That doesn't, it maybe inhibits it a very small bit at the tissue level, but it provides enough DHT, more so than the injections, because I'm only on effectively 100 milligrams a week. And there I get the DHT that I need. And sex went from good and passable and okay to totally fucking awesome. So regarding test cream, I honestly think that most people, this is a major point, most people are very close to being dialed in as long as estrogen is hovering around your range, which you must identify. If it's doing that, usually you're kind of on a lower dose of testosterone, which means you're probably not getting the DHT that your body could use. So 100 milligrams per milliliter. This is where you have to start. That concentration of test cream, all you need to do is maybe start at a full pump, then work your way down if you need to. If it's too much suppression of estrogen and libido kind of takes a hit a little bit, go down to a half a pump and then go down to a quarter pump. Again, 4 or 5 little sort of noodly-like strands of cream come out when you click the toppy click container each time. Sometimes it's only necessary to use one of those, and then you let the cream container sit with the other 4 that are sitting on the top of the cream container and use the next one the next day and the next one the next day. Point is, it doesn't take a lot of extra DHT in order to regain erections. So please execute any one of those strategies. Good luck experimenting. And I promise if you find the right dose of any one of those, either Proviron DHT itself or test cream on top of your injectable protocol, your erection problem is going to be resolved. The purpose of this video and a lot of the purpose of what I'm trying to do here is to make sure people truly understand what's correct and what's not correct. Because if you don't know how to approach like fixing erection issues or what you truly need on HRT in order for the whole thing to be successful, you're never going to be successful. Boys, you need the DHT, and you can't always get it just from injections because that, these high doses of injections might just take estrogen too high. You got to get that in the range. And for a lot of people, like the strategy is going to be to lower dose to where estrogen can end up in your sweet spot, but then you just add a little DHT, whether it's Proviron, whether it's transdermal DHT and 20%, the stuff you can find on SourceList, or whether it's just a little bit of test cream. These are hybrid protocols, and they're fucking awesome. Everybody raves about their use of hybrid protocols, specifically with injectables plus cream. Boys, the sex on that stuff is unbelievable, and the erections are unbelievable. Please take heed. Do not think DHT is bad. Adding the little bit of DHT that you might need is not going to nuke your hair, by the way. Proviron, that stuff's very powerful. So maybe if your hair is getting kind of nuked a little bit, you go back down to 12.5 milligrams, maybe 6.25 milligrams. Either way, DHT is the thing that I have seen solve erection problems over and 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 over again in all 3 of these forms, and you guys need to know that. All right, as I said at the beginning, SourceList is 30% off. If you want all these things, just get SourceList. I haven't actually went and tested it myself, that now test cream is available on SourceList. So anyway, get SourceList. It's got everything you need right now, 30% off. The code is on the screen. It's down in the description of this video. Go get a copy. The biggest discount I've ever run on coaching, admittedly because the summer months, because people on vacation are kind of slow months for us. So, right now my loss is your gain. 50% off all coaching programs. You will save thousands of dollars on either the 1 month, the 3 month, the 6 month, and the 1 year. For those of you that are thinking about you want some time with me to really fix some sexual dysfunction and dial you in on HRT and hormones, go with 6 months, right? Because that cuts the 6 month price in half. It's 50%. Or if you go with 3 months, go with 3 months, okay? That's still a good degree of time. It cuts that price in half. I've never run a 50% off coaching in the history of coaching, which is about a decade. I've never done it. This is your opportunity to get on board. I'd love you to come on board. We'll get started right away. Get on the fact-finding exchange. Get you what you need to move forward and, importantly, fix sexual dysfunction, fix TRT problems, fix otherwise issues, fix DHT problems. This is what I do. Go get the discount. Hire me in under a minute. livecortex.com. Get it for 50% off. Mastering Testosterone Cypionate. It is the best course on dialing in libido and erections on the hardest ester to do that with, which is Cypionate. I created a video course which explains everything with every imaginable protocol, and you can get that in under a minute and download it and start watching it and start fixing your protocol right now. livecortex.com. All right, the conclusion of the video has... Now we're finally... And hold on. Chair. Thank you so much for listening, and Mike, sorry. Give me this. We're done. Been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you boys. Thank you so much for watching. Do me 2 favors if you would. hit the like button. Makes a huge difference. It really does. I mean, I thought it was sort of inconsequential. Turns out it's huge. Just do that for me. I'd love you to hit the like button. Sub to the channel, 33,000 and change subscribers and growing. Join one of the fastest growing, most informationally science-dense TRT channels on YouTube. I'd love to have you. Otherwise, kick ass, rock on. Enjoy the rest of your week. Let's go kill it, boys. And talk to you later in the week.